Good morning. Welcome back. I'm your host, Connor Volpe, and this is Friday Coffee Talks, episode number 87, where we talk over coffee on Fridays. I've got a great cup today, and I'm excited to be back. I took a week off last week, kind of unexpected. The schedule just got too busy, and I just couldn't get it done. So I'm back. I'm happy to be back. I'm grateful for you guys sticking with me. I No one's going to have to listen to me talk about the Braves throughout this baseball playoff season. They lost, womp womp. We're all very sad about it, but props to the Phillies. They're on to the World Series. I can't say I'm like super happy that I think they're going to win the World Series, but it is what it is. We've also got Halloween coming up this weekend, so we are gearing up for just so much going on this weekend, but I can't wait. We always do family Halloween costumes, and we will be doing it this year. I'll post some pictures on next week's episode because I'm really excited. We've done some great ones in the past. We did all the Mario characters one year, and we did space themed ones. My daughter Fallon was a moon. It was the best. I think it was one of the best costumes ever. We've done, oh gosh, what else did we do? We've done quite a few. Oh, we did snacks one year. Like a whole bunch of snacks. I was a hot dog, which was fun. But this year we're being just the most random collection of superheroes. So I'm thrilled. I can't wait. I tried my costume on one time and it is awesome. I can't wait to put it back on. With the beard, I'm being Thor this year. I kind of have to be. So put some little Viking braids in my beard. I got a long blonde wig. Get to experience what it's like to not be bald and get to show off these guns with a big old hammer. So I can't wait. Couple of Halloween parties to go to this weekend, and then we always do Halloween like really big in my neighborhood. We always have. So we've got a pretty long driveway. So we take everything down to the end. We'll set up food. We'll eat down by the street. We'll bring the fire pit down. We do trick or treating for the kids with candy, and then we've got coolers full of beer for when the adults come by. So it is a blast. We love it, and I definitely can't wait for Monday night. I hope all of you have great Halloween plans. I'd love to see your costumes. I want to see the cute kids. That's the best part. Golly, the little like Ewoks and ninjas and stuff running around. It's the best. So show me your Halloween costumes. I'd love to see them. But speaking of Halloween, it's always one of those where you get all the memories, right? There's so much going on. There's so much nostalgia involved. And that kind of leads me to today's main topic. Nostalgia, and specifically nostalgia around one restaurant called Junior's Grill. Have you heard of it? Do you know of Junior's Grill? I specifically wore the Georgia Tech hat today in honor of Junior's Grill because if you have ever been to or know somebody that attended the Georgia Institute of Technology, which, let me just pause. If you don't know, let me teach you. Let me introduce you to this now. There is no such place called Georgia Tech University. I see it all the time. I know it's some people doing it on purpose to mess with us, but there's no such thing as Georgia Tech University. I think we're one of 5 or 6 schools in the country that don't have the name university in our name. It's the Georgia Institute of Technology. So let's just say that. If you know anybody that went to Georgia Tech, they know about Junior's Grill. Well, I guess anybody that went there before the last 10 years or so. Let me tell you a little bit about Junior's Grill. Everybody has the nostalgic restaurants that they know and they love and that just make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. For me, we've got like Stylesboro biscuits in Kennesaw that I grew up with, the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits from the Minute Saver across from Harrison High School that I was late to homeroom so many times so that me and Oliver could swing through and get a Minute Saver biscuit. Golden Corral with my grandmother. Some of the Italian restaurants that we used to go with my grandma baby. There's so many restaurants that just scream nostalgia. La Cocina in Kennesaw, holy crap. Just these ones that you just say them and it either makes you smile or you get these like palpable feelings of nostalgia and love and all these things that you used to experience. And typically, though, I don't know, typically you think of those from childhood things. But for me, that's Junior's Grill in Atlanta, Georgia, but RIP, used to be in Atlanta, Georgia, on Georgia Tech's campus. and that's because of the place that it was. So let me kind of give you the background. Junior's Grill lived on or around the tech campus for years, for a very long time. It was run in my day by a man named Tommy Klemis, which I had some incredible grandfathers in my life. Tommy was like a third one of those. He was the best, and he still is. He's still around. But he was like every tech student's grandpa. He wanted you to do well in your tests. He wanted you to have a full belly as you did it. And everybody that walked into his place was just greeted like they were his own family, which is just the best part. He was the best part of it. But his family started Junior's Grill a long time before it ended up closing down. I think their initial spot was off campus, and then they moved. They used to share a building with Engineers Bookstore, and then eventually they moved. And when I was a student there, they had a great spot right by Tech Tower, right under, basically in the shadow of Tech Tower. And it was this little restaurant. And when I was there, it wasn't that little, actually. It was a pretty big place. They had a nice big size space. For me, it was great because it was essentially across the street from the aerospace building where I had all my classes. And so I ate at Junior's quite a bit. But the food was phenomenal. First of all, let's get it that straight. The chicken tenders and the French toast. Those are the kind of the two things that Tommy was known for at Junior's. The chicken tenders were out of this world. They were the best I've ever had. He had this seasoning that went on the chicken tenders, and then he put some on the fries, but he also had it sitting on the table. And me and Brett, my roommate in my freshman year, would drown our chicken tenders in this seasoning. And they were just so good. I don't even know. There was probably crack in them. I don't even care. They were so good. These chicken tenders are just world changing. So we'd go for lunch like as often as we possibly could. But then it was always about the chicken tenders. That was what the like most famous for. But then a couple years after I started going to tech, I happened to cross there one morning for breakfast, and I realized that they did breakfast too. And I realized I'd been missing out on like a whole world of Junior's Grill. And I talked about last episode, I talked about how much I love breakfast, and it was like, how did anybody not tell me that Junior's did breakfast? And I got to experience Junior's French toast for the first time. And I can't even begin to explain how amazing it was. So when you went in there, it was like you stepped into a whole nother world. They had lingo for ordering your food. So, French strip was French toast with a strip of bacon on the side. They had this whole like language that they spoke about how to order your food, and everything on the menu was fantastic. It was all very inexpensive because it was geared towards students. And Tommy would be back there, flipping the French toast, shaking seasoning on the fries straight out of the fryer himself. He would cook all the stuff. And then his aunt, I think, someone related to him was this lady named Miss Ann, and she ran the cash register. And so you'd come in and you'd get this big smile from Tommy as you walked in, and he'd ask you how classes were going or how you did on your tests that day. And as he's making your food, he's talking to you and he's yelling from the back, and he'd always ended up with, make sure you pay Miss Ann on the way out. And she was this short little woman, and like she could barely see over the cash register when she was standing up because on the counter and everything. And if Tommy was the grandma, Tommy was the grandpa, she was the grandma. She just treated you so well, and beyond the food being amazing and them being great people, they gave back so much. Tommy was real big on making sure that students didn't go hungry. Making sure that they were fed, that they had what they needed to be able to succeed at tech. And he was just such an ambassador for what that place could be and what Georgia Tech meant to me. And it was such a big part of my time there. So in addition to having some absolutely incredible food, he made an impact on me and on the way that I see things, on the way that I treat people. And I know I'm not the only one. There's thousands of people who came through the doors of Junior's Grill and got to experience Tommy like I did. And the funny thing is, there were people who ate there a lot more and that he knew more about their story than me. Tommy would never recognize me if he saw me out. He didn't know my name at any point. I was in there enough that like I walked in, he would go like, "Oh, hey, it's you," but I wasn't a regular by any means. And for him to have had that much of an impact on me, and for me to have seen the way that he conducted himself, I can't imagine the people who were there more often than me or knew him more closely than I did. And that's just an incredible thing. So, unfortunately, about I guess 10-ish years ago, they closed down. It was time. Tommy had to step away and spend time with his family, and Junior's Grill is gone. Um, which is heartbreaking. When it closed, they said it was going to close, and then the outpouring of students who came and showed up, the line was like across the block when they said that Junior's was closing. And it kept them open for a little while longer, but finally it did shut down. They closed down, and the space is gone. And it was a sad day. Everybody was sad, but what's kind of got me thinking about it recently is the Georgia Tech Alumni Association has been posting a lot of content on social media with Tommy and talking about Junior's Grill because, we're about 10 years or so-ish. I don't remember exactly the year that they closed down, but we're about 10 years out from that day. And so people are getting nostalgic and they're thinking back and they're remembering all the great things. And so Tommy has popped back up on Instagram. There's been a lot of stuff recently where he's up there. And in fact, one of the videos they released the other day was Tommy putting the Junior's French toast recipe out for the world to have, which, oh my gosh. Like I think I've watched that video 5 times of him going through how it's made, and it's very simple. It's, standard ingredients. It's nothing too crazy. But I think it's a lot about the method and the love that it's cooked with. And so, the first thing I did, the night they released that video, I ran to the grocery store, I got all the ingredients, and I made Junior's French toast on my griddle at home. And it wasn't nearly as good. Mine did not turn out, it didn't look like Tommy's. It didn't taste like Tommy's. It was great. But just the fact that I knew that I was making Junior's French toast was such a special thing. And I think that's the way I'll make French toast forever now. I won't spill the secret. Go find it online. It's out there. It's not hard to find, but I won't put it here. But gosh, I think I may do my French toast that way from now on, just because of how special it was to me when I was a 22-year-old college kid eating French toast at Junior's for the first time. So, I'd love to know, post a comment, send me a message. Tell me about those nostalgic places in your life, whether they're childhood places. Is it the restaurant? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the company you're with? Is it the food? What are the restaurants that stick out in your mind like Junior's was for me? So, Junior's, cheers to you. We'll always miss you and your fantastic chicken tenders. And to Tommy, I love you. You don't know me, but I love you. And I wish that Junior's Grill was still around because it's a great place. Thank you guys for joining me so much. I am appreciative of all of you tuning in to Friday Coffee Talks. We'll catch you next week.